Steve-O is that's the legendary
Hello,
host.
everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Beyond. It has been a while. I've just adjusted my mic here. This is Wes Marcus from Marley Paranormal.
And I am John Joanne from Red Cell Paranormal. Welcome to the show. I
All
see
right,
we're now officially live.
we are officially live. Yeah.
We are officially live.
Uh, so, how is everybody? Hope you guys are doing good. Wes Marcus again from Marley Paranormal, and we have John Johan from Red Cell Paranormal. Brother, how you doing?
Hello. I am doing good today.
Right on, right on.
Awesome.
So today we wanted to talk about the history of ITC, but before we do that, we kind of wanted to explain why we've been away for a bit. I haven't been posting up a lot of stuff lately, and neither has John, and we just want to touch on that and just tell you what's been going on with us personally, just before we get into everything.
Yeah, sure. Definitely something I want to touch on. Just
Yeah.
anybody watches any of my content. But yeah, I don't know. You want to go first?
Oh, you go ahead, John. You go ahead.
All right. Well, I've been away, dealing with a lot of issues and basically a misdiagnosis that was misdiagnosed like 13 years ago, 14 years ago, I guess now. So even longer than that. Um, so what happened was is that I was actually diagnosed with bipolar. I guess the type without the hallucinations when you go manic. So anyway, sorry about this. I just need to my it's my girlfriend's Facebook thing. Just so I needed to get rid of this stupid icon. And anyway, so what happened was is that I actually don't have major depression. I have bipolar, and I have the type where you don't hallucinate when you get manic. So like what happens with me is that it's like I feel good. I like go around the house and do chores. I do like, all that kind of stuff. I get speedy. I get, all that, but I don't see things. I don't think that I have the ability to do superhuman things. I don't any of that kind of stuff. Like I'm not good. I don't go that far. But like you can tell when I'm manic and then when the depression hits, it's just like clocked out, like I'm done. And then like that, and then I like don't have the ability to empathize with people. Really, it sucks because it's like you don't have the ability to empathize. You don't, and like when people don't understand what's going on, like especially my girlfriend, and then dealing like me having to explain to her that this is something that's in my brain, it's a disorder or a disease or an illness, you know, like going back to the whole mental health thing, right? Like it's something I have to deal with for the rest of my life. And like it obviously I didn't know that I had it until I was re-diagnosed.
Hmm.
And just things happened and I had to go away and honestly check into a crisis program for a bit. And it's just literally like a big house with like rooms and beds in it. And like you just go in there and they take your medicine, they get all your meds for you, that you go at scheduled times, and you can go leave and come back and sign out, whatever, but you stay there. And during the day they have their little activities that you go through. And the true bonding really happens outside of those things, in my opinion, because most people don't take them serious who are there. So
Hmm.
what they do is they'll sleep during these things. You'll have old people snoring during them and stuff,
Oh, really?
and
Wow.
yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, there's one old lady that's there, and she's there all the time. And what happens is that she takes her husband's pension, who's like 90, and spends all of it, and then comes to the crisis unit when that money's gone, and stays there and punishes him for not having enough money. And so like I've
Yeah.
had the misfortune of dealing with this person, and this is a true story. So when I was there a very long time ago, because I have been there before, and so what happened was that would roll her cigarettes for her. She
Okay.
was an old, I thought, a nice old lady, I'll help you.
Hmm.
And when I got to Gimli, I didn't know that she lived in Gimli, and then so she found out I was staying at the hotel there, and I'd have notes on my door to call this old lady. And what happened was that my sister, her ex-husband now, but at the time they weren't even engaged, but they were living together. His mom was doing home care for the old guy, the husband. So the husband was talking about this young kid that stole his wife and was stealing this money because this is how she was talking it to him. And so I had my sister come and she's banging on the door. And is this true? And blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I haven't. Look at all these things that I never answered. I said, go ask the staff. They think it's a crazy person. I said, I don't even live. Tell her I don't live here no more. She's just still nada, I was like, this crazy lady. And so, anyways, that was and so she's still going there. That's a shame. You think
Mhm.
eventually you would, straighten your life
Yeah.
out, but
Well, some
the
people,
true
yeah,
bonding.
can't
I
for
mean,
some reason
I just sit
or don't
there
want
and
to.
it's like I don't know if I would do well in prison because I just sat there and took a table over every night and I would start a game of it's like it's based off of gin rummy. It's called Low Man in the Hole. And it's an offshoot of rummy, right? So
Hmm.
I deal you eight, I get seven. You throw
Hmm.
your crappiest card away. You go, pairs, three of a kinds, runs, and then you're out. That kind of a thing. And
Right,
so
right.
you keep score, first to 100 loses, that kind of a thing. And so I'll run a game as soon as I get in there. I take a table and I run a game. And I get people to come in and I get about four people to sit with me. And those are the people that I actually am going to like there. You know what I mean? I already, as soon as I get in there, I already know by everybody's personality type and how I'm feeling, who I'm going to get along with. And
Hmm.
so this is how it's going to be. You guys want to play a game? Okay, sure. I got nothing else to do. What else are you going to do? Well,
Yeah,
let's watch
that's
preseason
exactly it.
football.
Yeah.
Let's watch preseason football, and I'm going to teach you a card game. You don't got
Hmm.
nowhere else to go tonight, right?
Yeah,
And
that's pretty much the
so,
same way when I was in the shelter last year. It was, yeah,
yeah,
you someone had a PS3, so we'd play the PS3 or we'd watch TV, whatever. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so there's, they have like crappy movies there or whatever, but no, I mean, I just needed to go. I mean, I was just having a really hard time, and you know what I mean. When we talk about it with mental health, and it's just like what, you aren't alone. And I knew that like I'm smart enough to recognize that I really felt like harming myself. So you know what, I'm gonna call mobile, and then mobile's gonna come out and assess me, and they're gonna say, yeah, you need to come, and so that's a safe way of handling your issues. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Because
Yep.
it was just really weighing on me that like I shut down. I was shutting down. That's what it was, and I was shutting down, and like I didn't like that feeling one bit,
Hmm.
not one bit, and I
Yep.
don't like that. I want to hurt myself feeling because I
Hmm.
don't. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't. If I'm
Yeah. Well,
lying, I'm
it's your
dying. I'm
disease telling you that
dying.
you want to do that.
Yeah, what I found is that the self-talk in my head was actually it would be better for everybody else if I was gone. Like, you know what I mean? My girlfriend would be able to just put me away, and take the money and whatever and start a better life and meet a new man and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like my family will be better off because they won't have to deal with my sick ass. Like you'll be better off. It's okay. All that kind of stuff. Like that's how it is. That's what I was feeling, that it would be better for everybody else if I was dead. I'm the problem, you know? Like I'm the
Yep.
guy that's creating the havoc. I'm the guy that's, making everybody feel bad. So it's better if I go than make everybody else change and do what I want. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because your friends and your family, they're not puppets. They're not marionettes that you can do this with.
Hmm.
Only addicts and alcoholics and that kind of a mindset, that's what that kind of a mindset is.
Hmm.
You don't treat people like this. You don't.
No.
If you love them and you're a human being, You don't treat them like a puppet, you know? And so, that's I just can't do that to people. And I had to go get some help, and that's what I did. And
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I'm
sometimes
here,
our
and
minds can kind of tell us things that aren't true.
yeah,
It's very much a mind game, and just you're thinking these depressing thoughts that you're a burden to everybody, and in most cases that's not the truth, and it would just kill the people who love you and care about you if you weren't here. And
exactly. That's the thing, you know what I mean? And so it's like, and like the logic part of me is like, dude, you're stupid. Like, come on here, like, But eventually that gets smaller, like as it progresses and the depression gets worse, Like by day
mhm,
3 in bed, that's almost
yeah,
gone. That's
yeah,
almost gone. And it's just
hmm
like it's just time to go. Like, I mean, it was to the point where, like, I was even watching documentaries about death and people finding dead bodies and, like, hey, where should I be found? Like, and that's how morbid it was, like that I was feeling. And I was like, I'm not normally like this, and then, like, when you have somebody that loves you and they're watching this, and it's just like it's killing them because they
yeah,
don't know what to do. I mean, Hope
that's exactly it. Yeah,
didn't know what to do here.
yeah,
And so I feel really bad because, she was like, I just, how can I help you? What can I do? What do you need? Like, she was ready to pay anything for a pill or anything. And there is no magic pill. There
hmm
is not, I don't take those kinds of street pills or meds you take off the street. It's not like that kind of pain. It's not. Like,
yeah,
depression hurts like hell,
yeah, it does.
but a pain medication doesn't relieve depression. I mean, yeah, it can because you get stoned off the pain medicine, but real the pain from depression is psychosomatic pain, you
hmm
know? But when you mix it with a chronic pain disorder that I have, it's 10 times worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that even drives me to bed further,
Oh yeah, because you're dealing
And
with the
so
mental and you're dealing with the physical at the same time. It's just.
exactly, exactly. And to me it's just, I it, I was in there and I started looking for the small things. I'd go out, I'd go buy a drink somewhere, and
hmm
somebody that looked me in the eyes and told me to have a nice day, and they really meant it. That's what got me through the next hour. That's what got me through the next day,
hmm
Those kinds of things,
Yeah.
Simple things. And then I started to rebuild from that,
hmm
to get back to I wish that I was dead and I'm buried here, all the way to it's a beautiful day to be alive. And it's a beautiful day just to do the things you love to do.
hmm
That's where I'm at now, you know? But the thing was I thought I was my treatment center and I
hmm
learned something. I suck. I'm fired. I can't be my own treatment center anymore. I can take my meds as prescribed, but I'm not my own treatment center. And so I had to go and get get some help. And that's just the truth and the long and short of it. That's the truth. And
hmm
so, even though, you've the financial burdens, all that kind of stuff, that's now whatever to me. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's there. You got to pay bills. It sucks. It sucks to be broke. But guess what?
hmm
It's like I'm still gonna wake up tomorrow. I'm here right now doing a podcast that I love.
Yeah.
And
And I'll tell you
so
what,
it's
John,
like,
as much as it might sound like you're alone there, I mean, it's the same thing with me, I have to make every dollar stretch, for an entire month, and I know what it's like to, be at that point where, oh shit, what am I going to do for the rest of the month now? And yeah, it's hard, and it can definitely weigh on your mind, and it can, you know, really put you in that depressive state. But I think maybe just thinking that you're not the only one that's going through that, and that
yeah,
you know that it's happened before, and that you've made it through the month just fine before, and just keeping that in your mind, at the top of your mind, will maybe help you maybe relieve some of that stress.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just about the monetary either. It's just everything. And it's just like it's so hard to explain, I mean, you understand, where I'm coming from, and a lot of people that watch this will understand where I'm coming
Hmm.
from. But it's just to somebody who may not, if this is their first time watching, and like it's hard to explain, it's just, and it's even hard for your own conscious once you're better. You know what I mean? Like once you're feeling better and you're on the right track, then it's easier for you to understand. But to explain it to somebody else, it sounds like you're crazy. You
Hmm.
already sound crazy explaining how you feel to somebody else. You just sound crazy. And they're like, dude, you need to go get help. It's like, I know, that's what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's time. And
Hmm.
just like nobody said that to me though. I just knew. I just
Yeah.
knew, that was that. Like nobody actually said that. I just knew it was just time,
Hmm.
And like,
Yep.
what else are you gonna do? I mean, I'm not gonna just leave the people behind that care about me. That's a very selfish action, and it's just like they say that would be a very temporary solution to a long-term problem, right? And so
Hmm.
it's like now it's just learning to live with something that I didn't know that I had, and I didn't understand that that was being manic. I had no idea, you know because I
Hmm.
mean, to me, manic was, the a little bit of hallucinations, and some of that kind of stuff. And I don't even mean like, you're seeing like cartoons or something. I mean, I just
Hmm.
mean visual anomalies and little things like that. And
Yeah.
things are a little bit brighter. You feel like you have better visual acuity. To
Hmm.
me, it almost felt like when the NZT would ramp up in Limitless, when he'd take the pill and then you'd hear that, and then like, he'd see like three people of himself. That movie there,
Yeah.
live with
Yeah.
that. That's what being manic feels like to me. That's the best way I can explain it, is just like,
Hmm.
I'm writing, I'm doing something else, I'm doing something else, I'm this, I'm that, I'm flicking a channel, like it's like you're on amphetamine,
Yeah.
you know
So
but I'm
pretty
still
much.
doing it all.
Yeah. But pretty much what happened was that you got into one of those states where you were feeling that way and you just kind of separated yourself from everything.
Yeah, and it was like for my own damn good too. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? It wasn't like I did,
Well, sometimes you
wasn't
need
like
to
I
do that.
didn't want to do it. Sorry, I was charging. I had to charge my phone up here. But yeah,
So.
no, it's not like I didn't, obviously there's a part of you when you're sick that doesn't want to go, but eventually it's like, okay, something's got to give. Like I need to change this about myself because I'm not happy. And so if I'm not happy, and it's my own life, so it's not my relationship, it's not, whatever. So how do you divorce yourself from yourself? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the hard thing. And then so it was just going from there, like,
Hmm.
okay then,
Yeah.
and just trusting the people that were at the crisis center to help me. And there's one guy that I hate. His name's Brian, and I almost hit him, as I almost always do when I'm there. He doesn't like to dispense painkillers,
Mm.
especially to me for some reason. And he would try to withhold my painkillers. I only take Tylenol threes, people. That's all
Hmm.
I take. That's it. I don't get prescribed anything else because is everybody if you're in Canada right now and you're on Tylenol threes, you're lucky because the government has ceased giving people oxycodone, like Percocet, oxycontins, Vicodin, Dilaudid, like hydromorphone, fentanyl, all that stuff is now going back to, you need to be dying, you need to have cancer, you need to be very old, you need, that post-surgical stuff. They're purging it here in Canada. And
Hmm.
the people now, like, I used to be able to buy Tylenol ones, the acetaminophen with the 15 milligrams of caffeine, and then the 8 milligrams of codeine for, and you'd ask the pharmacist for the bottle, and you could get a bottle of 100, and you just ask him, and he'd get it from behind
Hmm.
the counter for you.
Yep. Yep.
And so he'd give it, those is what
Yep.
they'll prescribe now for pain, like if you got a cold or whatever. the Tylenol twos now is more for, I guess, mild to moderate pain, or and then the T3s are for severe pain. And post surgical, because I mean my aunt had a breast reduction and that's all they gave her after surgery was codeine, and that's good enough
Oh,
for
really?
her. She's not but I know a
Mm.
lot of people that are starting to get cut off of their pain meds. Like, the doctors are starting to wean them down because they're on such high bloody dosages that they don't need to be, and so their doctors are weaning them down because the board, the physicians and surgeons guys are cracking down and saying no bueno, no bueno. So my doctor doubled my gabapentin intake, so I'm
Oh,
getting
yeah.
used to that. It was originally developed for seizures, an anticonvulsant, and it's shown good for nerve pain.
Hmm.
And so I that's and it's a non-narcotic. And but the only one thing I don't like about wait, now that he's doubled it, is that you have to get used to it. it
Mm-hmm.
it, it starts helping with the pain right away, but it acts like speed to me. Like a lot of medicines for some reason act like an amphetamine in my system. I have no idea why, but they do. So it's just like it's almost like taking speed.
Huh.
That's basically how it feels. And
Yeah.
so it's getting used to that. And then coming off the doxycycline, oh my God. You want to know why I was throwing up so much?
Why is that?
Because you're not allowed to have dairy, right?
Oh, really?
And so I take an ulcer pill that's basically, it's like an antacid. And doxycycline, you can't take an antacid or anything like 2 hours before that, or it causes that severe reaction. And my pharmacists were like, "We're so sorry, we didn't see that." And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Here, I'm staying away from milk, everything else." And like that was killing me, like just taking that pill and puking for like 6 hours, up to 6 hours some points, like every day. Every day I was vomiting on a 2 week course, and then like I finally got some grace out, about three days left in, they finally realized you're taking that omeprazole. That's what it is. That's why. And it's twice a day, because I take the doxycycline it was every 12 hours, 2 pills a day for 2 weeks. And so that I take them with the AM pills with that, or the ulcer pill. And then so every day, twice a day, for how many hours I'm barfing and sleeping.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I still got to go get tested just to make sure I don't have the Lyme contagion. I'm asking for that blood work, just to make sure that I don't
Mm-hmm.
have it. And, we'll go from there. I don't think I have it because I'm not experiencing any. I got the doxycycline fast enough, and Hope got the damn thing off my back real fast too. So I think I'm gonna be fine.
Oh, that's
The
good.
the little, it's gone to a little dot, and it's a little bit itchy. That's it. So, but other than that,
Oh,
oh,
that's
my
good.
granny had mild heat stroke. My poor grandma. They had to bring her back from the lake. It
Oh,
was so bloody hot out there that she had to come home. She's 94, 93, 94 years old. So she had mild heat stroke, and so they had to bring her back. She's in air conditioning at the house now. She's got to stay in central air, my poor granny. But other than
poor
that,
girl.
everybody's good to go.
Well, that's good. Yeah, so I've been away just because of the fact that let's see, last month I stopped working at Wendy's. I had had enough of a lot of stuff that was going on there. Managers were yelling at different employees and just acting very unprofessional, and the hours were to the point where didn't even make sense anymore. That
Yeah,
was just like I was going in there for a couple hours and then coming home. It was like, well, that's not really doing me much good. It's not, helping me to achieve my goals. So, I just decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. And of course, when I was working, I didn't have a lot of time to post a lot of videos. And I actually got to the mindset where I wasn't used to doing it anymore, and also lost interest in it a little bit. It's like, I guess if you have your favorite dessert all the time. You have like chocolate cake every day. Eventually, you're gonna get tired of that chocolate cake. And I mean, as great as this field is, sometimes you just need to step away um, to refresh and
yeah,
to get back into enjoying it again. And that's kind of what happened to me. I kind of stopped, looking at all the videos and everything, and I just needed to, yeah, just space myself away from it for a bit, and so now I'm back like full force and going to be doing, the podcast with you again, John, and gonna be just rolling things out again with like Paranormal Weekly and Spirit Box sessions and the investigation that I did like in June, June 18th. I did that investigation. Still isn't out yet, but I'm gonna be working on all that. And yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Really, was just work had taken me away from it, and then I just had. I wouldn't say I lost interest, but I would say that well, like I said, I think the chocolate cake analogy works pretty good for it, and the fact that every now and then you just need to, like I said, walk away for a little bit and then come back fully recharged.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
that's just the way it is. If you continue to burn out, and everything's gonna crash and burn, and like you might end up like me having to go get some help. But
well, it
uh,
wasn't quite that bad.
no, no, I know that. I mean, but I mean, just in our conversations, I knew you were taking a lot of shit at that place, and I felt really bad about, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Oh
just,
yeah, I would
I'm
tell
not,
you about
I
it and
wasn't gonna
stuff.
make anything public or anything like that,
Hmm.
obviously, but I
Yeah.
just knew you were taking a lot of friggin' crap there that you didn't deserve, and
Hmm.
I was really, surprised when you told me that you left, but
Yeah.
didn't, I didn't blame
Well,
you at all. Like I
if
couldn't
something's
do
like
it.
bothering you to the point where you're like absolutely depressed and every morning
Oh
you
yeah,
wake up and you dread going to that place, then
yep.
how can you keep doing it and
No.
be happy?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. When you're waking up and you're dreading going to that place, it's just not good. Let's not go, it's
Yeah,
don't go there because it's just not going to,
yeah,
you can always get another job.
yeah,
You might not get a reference from these people, but screw them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Who cares?
yeah. That's
It's
exactly
for
it.
your own. It's yeah,
Well, you know
it's
that
for
I've
your
got
own
something
health.
else that's in the books that
Yeah.
I'm not gonna release that publicly until it's like completely out. But
Yeah.
you know that I do have something going on that. Well, actually, I think I have actually released it publicly, which is like I'm opening up a paranormal related store, and that's gonna be pretty cool. We're gonna be selling some pretty cool stuff there, spirit boxes and EVP recorders, that kind of thing. And we've already got some suppliers, and we'll be releasing that pretty soon, which I think is going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah. That's gonna be pretty
Yeah.
cool. I want to help as much
Um.
as I can. So
Yeah. I do appreciate that, John. Thank you. Um. So let's see here. I guess we're going to talk about the history of ITC today.
yes, we are. Yes,
So
we are the
I
big
guess
one.
before we get into that, we kind of have to basically go over exactly what ITC is. That's instrumental transcommunication. So what that means is it's messages coming from beyond, beyond the beyond. Uh, that will that can be received or stored by use of some kind of device. So stuff like let's see here,
Radio.
computers. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, computers, radios, car
Yeah,
radios. It's happened with. I mean, you can go
yeah.
back
Even
to.
telephones, it's happened with. You hear of people
Yeah,
like having these conversations on the telephone and stuff. TV, there's like video ITC.
yeah,
Then of course you have the basic tape recorder for EVP, electronic voice phenomenon.
yep.
And
Yeah, the digital voice recorders,
yeah,
even the analog ones,
yeah.
photos, video
Hmm.
cameras,
Yeah, and lots
uh,
of different things have been used, like crystals have been used, water
yep.
ITC.
Too
No,
though, you've seen those on NTSE too. There's a couple of people that have been working with crystals and just looking at faces in them inside of them and stuff. It's just amazing, like what's going on.
yeah.
And then you can even get older than that, and you've got like bone throwing. You have, making your mark. We have crystals. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, you've already pointed that one out.
Yeah, yeah.
Scrying. The Ouija
Automatic writing.
boards.
I don't
Yeah,
know if you
automatic writing.
could you say automatic writing. Is that
Um,
really using an electronic device though? I don't know if we can
mm,
group that into
no.
there because technically we're saying technical or devices and stuff. Um, but if we want to go back to like the earliest recorded, history of that, it would be in 1901. Now, back then, there was a U.S. Ethnologist named Waldemar Burgess. He traveled to Siberia. He was going to visit a shaman of the sorry, not sure how to pronounce this. I'm actually looking at the words on my screen here. This is, by the way, all available at worlditc.org. Great site to go to for any information you
Info.
want on ITC. It's it's worlditc.org. And anyways, this guy, he traveled to Siberia to visit a shaman. And in a darker room, he observed a spirit conjuring ritual. Now, the shaman beat a drum more and more rapidly, putting himself into a trance state. Now, this startled Burgess because strange voices started filling the room. And the voices seemed to come from all corners and spoke both English and Russian. Now, after that session, he wrote that he had set up his equipment and so that he could record without light. And the shaman, he was sitting in the furthest corner of the room, approximately 20 feet away. When the light was extinguished, the spirits appeared after some hesitation and followed the wishes of the shaman, and they spoke into the horn of the phonograph. Now, what was heard on the recording was a vast difference between what the shaman was saying, the speech of the shaman. He was chanting, like I said. That was heard in the background, but also heard were the spirit voices, and those seemed to be located right directly at the mouth of the horn of the phonograph. So, and all along the shaman's ceaseless drum beats could be heard as if to prove that he remained in the same spot. So you could distinctly hear that the shaman was further away, and those spirit voices were like right there at the phonograph horn. And that was actually the first known experiment in which voices of conjured spirits were recorded on an electrical recording device. So
That's
that's going back,
amazing.
yeah, that's going way back to 1901.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
that's going back to also to the fact that I do really believe that the region of Siberia and that is a very kind of magical place.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe in high magic or low magic or any other type of magic, you'll know that Marina Abramovich comes. She's that one that did the Pizzagate stuff. They focused on her a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. And I'm not going there. I'm just saying that she is actually from a region around Siberia. I mean, not directly in that Siberia, but I can't remember the name of the country, but it is an Eastern Bloc country. And she's from around that area. And there's a lot of mysticism there that, a lot of people didn't know about until
Mm-hmm.
the Iron Curtain fell, until
Mm-hmm.
that came down. And then we didn't,
Yeah.
we didn't know about it, the West,
Mm-hmm.
until, the Iron Curtain came down and we started getting that exchange of books and the histories and the truths of what happened instead of just the lies.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so in my opinion, I think that's a really rich and like a place filled with a lot of spirit energy. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a hub, like one of those kind of hubs that are around the world that kind of they say there's different like vortexes and all that kind of stuff
Mm-hmm.
and everything. I think are portals and that. I think Siberia and that region is very, very
Oh yeah,
magical.
it is absolutely amazing the kind of stuff that you hear coming out of there as far as,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff is concerned,
yeah.
paranormal and like you said, the different I lost
The
my train of thought
history.
there. Yeah, exactly.
It's the history too, and the fact that I mean Siberia was a prison colony. I mean that was where Russia sent you to go to hard labor, and re-education as well. That was where you go to get tortured and you'd work in there, and you're gonna go die in Siberia. So.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so
maybe a lot of the dead there they speak. Who
mhm.
knows? I just know that I personally believe that whole region is. I
Mhm.
mean, you have Romanians and you got the Rummies. You know what I mean? Like them, they're very spiritual. They know a lot of magic. That kind of stuff. And I'd love to. I wonder if that a piece of that recording still exists from
That would
the
be interesting
1901.
to look into and find out if we could
If
find
we
something like
if
that. Be
if we could
Go
find
ahead.
that on like YouTube or something and put that up there, because that would sound so bloody scary. Because those early recordings are freaky,
Mhm.
freaky enough to
Oh yeah,
listen to just by themselves. Um,
absolutely.
what do you call it though? I think like I wonder how it would sound. Like I wonder if it would sound like the Stairway to Heaven one where they play it backwards and you can hear like Sweet Satan and all that kind of stuff. Like we're going to the
Uh-huh.
tool shed, my sweet Satan, and it's like Aleister Crowley and shit like that or whatever. Yeah. And
Yeah.
well, that's the only song played backwards that they didn't have the dubbing to be able to do it. So they didn't actually have the
Mm.
technology to be able to rewind that, like put a backwards message into it.
Oh, so they didn't
And then
actually do that.
after
That
that,
just actually happened.
yeah,
Wow.
after that, eventually they did. Like if you listen to another one, "Bites the Dust" by Queen,
Or
yeah,
a
it,
lot of the
it
Beatles stuff.
yeah. Oh, dude, quick thing for documentaries, Netflix, they got
hmm
Vietnam and it's the entire thing. And it's like I can't remember how many episodes it is. I think it's like 10 episodes, something like that. And they're each of them is an hour and a half.
hmm
So it's just like, and it goes into like the first part of like when the French invaded and everything, and then America sends advisors in to help the Vietnamese, and then how America gets into this war that spanned 5 presidents, right?
hmm
And guys that were there all the way through. So every single episode they had, you know what I mean? And it's just what one thing that amazed me was the downed airmen in Hanoi. The guy,
hmm
one of the prisoners that they let loose, he memorized 200 of the other prisoners' names to the tune of Old MacDonald Had a Farm.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So when he got out, he gave them 200 names, and the people knew that there because there was 1 out of 5 planes got shot down over Hanoi. Hanoi
Huh.
was the probably best defended country or city in the world at that point in North Vietnam, and so yeah, I mean, and they have guys, and it goes all the way, and it's just such an emotional ride. I mean, just like when people are talking and they actually talk about fragging. They have guys like one guy, did 13 months as a Marine. And what happened was they pulled his draft card and he says, I've already served in the Marines. You can't draft
Mm.
me again. And they said, no, we're the Army. We're taking you. And he said, fuck you. And he went to Canada. you know and then it said and then in there Tom Hanks is the narrator, and it goes
Mhm.
300,000 Canadians would go on to volunteer to fight in Vietnam, and that was it. That's all they acknowledged of the Canadian
Wow.
at all. I was
Huh.
quite offended at that, but I
Yeah, no
understand
kidding.
that it was the American story, right? Everybody there was
Okay.
American, and the stories are amazing, and I know
All
every
right, so we can
single
check that out on
episode is
YouTube.
an hour.
All
Yeah,
right.
no, I don't think you can get it on YouTube yet.
No, it's not on YouTube.
But it's amazing. It's bloody amazing, and
So is
and
that
and it's just
Netflix
like,
or where was it?
yeah, Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
All
it's
right.
called the Vietnam War, and it's like a
Okay.
PBS thing, but it's all
Okay.
these episodes. And Ken Burns did the directing. He's like a big wartime guy. I mean, they show all of the popular footage. The guy getting his head shot. The where
Mm-hmm.
they have the picture and the bullets right about to come out here, and his whole
Jeez.
face is, yeah. They show that one. The camera guy was there that day, and he just happened to hit it at the right time. The little
All right.
girl running with the burnt napalm, the little naked girl. Yeah, that part. The monk that set himself on fire in protest
Uh-huh.
to the war. And
Yeah.
the leader of Vietnam at the time, his wife said, "Oh well, the guy they used foreign gasoline." She said they used foreign petrol to set him on fire, so he deserved to die.
Okay.
But what happened was is that I just have to say it is that all these other monks, as this man was burning, and he was not screaming as he burned,
hmm
but all these monks started to chant, "A monk becomes a martyr. A
Wow.
monk becomes a martyr. Today, a monk becomes a martyr." And it was
Wow.
just so powerful to hear that they would all stand there and watch this their friend, their
hmm
a family member to them just this is what I'm going to do. And he was like a 70-year-old man, and he set himself on fire in protest of the war there, and they continue to
All right. Well, we're
contact
getting a
him.
bit off track here with the topic, so
We are sorry about that.
let's
Sorry. Yeah.
let's switch back into looking at what we were.
ITC mode.
Yes, ITC.
Yeah.
So we had
Yeah.
talked about the start of in 1901 with the
The phonograph.
shaman,
Yeah.
yeah,
With the
and
shaman.
the phonograph. So then we fast forward about 9 years, and there was actually a Catholic altar boy in Brazil, and he often saw his priest Roberto Landel de Moura communicating with a small box. Now the priest would speak into this box, and it would speak back. And Father Landel was reluctant to share details of the box with anyone, as the church, of course, doesn't approve of, any forms of spirit
Divination. Yeah.
communication. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Communing with the dead or whatever.
Yep.
Um, and so other than, like, unless it's like some kind of, Christian thing and like prayer, then they're totally against that.
Yeah.
But anyways, the reports of the altar boy were officially recorded though. So um, that was 1910. But now the big one that everybody pretty much knows about happened in the 1920s. That was Thomas Alva Edison. And of course, he was the inventor of the electric light, motion picture camera, phonograph. Well, he was said to have been working on some kind of communication device for speaking with the dead. He was trying to, achieve spirit communication, and his assistant, Dr. Miller Hutchison, wrote that Edison and I are convinced that in the fields of psychic research will yet be discovered the facts that will prove of greater significance to the thinking of the human race than all the inventions we have ever made in the field of electricity. And Edison himself wrote, if our personality survives, then it is strictly logical or scientific to assume that it retains memory, intellect, and other faculties and knowledge that we acquire on this earth. Therefore, if we can evolve an instrument so delicate as to be affected by our personality as it survives in the next life, such an instrument, when made available, ought to record something. Of course, Edison died before he could actually complete his work on that device. But as he lay dying, he remarked to his physician, "It is very beautiful over there." Now, he was a man of science. He was someone who thought logistically. So if he wouldn't have said something such as, "It is very beautiful over there," unless he believed it to be true and actually saw something that was very beautiful. So that's pretty, I think that's pretty large in the scope of things that he would have said something like that just before he passed away.
Yeah. Yeah. Myself included. One of the things that's incredibly amazing about the human body is that when you die, at moment of death, I was watching a documentary about this, and they had a person who was dead, and he was hooked up to the in the hospital to the machines, and they were actually monitoring this man's brain activity. And although he was dead, his brain activity was still that of that the doctor said he should be talking to a normal, regular, conscious person laying in bed right now. So, what is that activity? That's what this was about. And so it's of course we retain something. And people were
Hmm.
saying, well, that right there is a spike of dimethyltryptamine and in your brain, and that's what makes you see, the classic your whole life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
They say that
if
it's
you
the
see,
mind's way of trying to make
the
it not go insane or something like that.
something like that. I mean, if you're a man of science, but they wouldn't have known this yet because they could not, monitor brain function or anything like that. But I'm just saying that, like, to back up what those gentlemen's profound words, and I felt that his assistant actually his words were a lot more profound to me than Edison's words were. But
Mm,
that might be because I believe Edison was part of the conspiracy to cover up Tesla. And,
mm,
that's why I have a slightly
hmm.
negative view of Jefferson.
Right.
And a lot
Hmm.
of people might not like that, but I'm sorry. I believe that Tesla should get credit or what he did, and his labs were destroyed, and they dragged his name through the mud for a long time until people
Hmm.
finally started to, the reading. But
Yeah.
we can credit Edison for his work, and the guy
Yeah.
was a Freemason. He did know, the Scottish Rite Freemasonry, or I don't know, he might have been Blue Lodge. But either way, he was an incredibly intelligent man. We can't take any of that away from him. His works
Hmm.
are his works.
Yeah.
And, I really think that, they did try to advance psychic research, and that's always been something that's been advanced throughout time. I
Hmm.
mean, you look at the Illuminati conspiracy, that traces back to ancient Babylon, the bloodlines, right? So
Hmm.
think about going all the way back there. What did they use first? Like, well, we were just talking about scrying, bone
Hmm.
throwing,
Yep.
sigils, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. And then you fast forward how many thousand years, right? And you get to,
Yeah.
where we are
Technology.
now
Yeah.
and the timeline here. And you've got, now you can finally hear without the whole story of somebody saying, "Oh, I heard voices, I heard
Hmm.
these devils, I heard these whatever," because that's what we get in print, is
Hmm.
especially in
Yeah.
the Bible. Especially in the Bible, is we get something in print and you read it and you take it literally and
Hmm.
not figuratively, like, and or
Yeah.
study it, right? And so
Hmm.
this is what we get. And sorry, I'm losing on my train of thought a little bit.
That's all right. I think what you're getting at is that back then we had was the written or the spoken word to
Yeah,
convey our experiences. Now we actually have devices that can actually record these.
well, you
What's
had to
happening?
believe the person that
Yeah,
was telling the
exactly.
story, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was always up to you. But if you're put in this situation where you actually have the chance to hear that, and you do, it's going to change your worldview a little bit, at least.
Hmm.
I mean, if you're a harsh skeptic, you may become a more lighter skeptic, because you're going to be like, you know what, I didn't know what that was, so
Hmm.
okay, let's put it there. And
Yeah.
I think the work of Edison was very well documented. And I just
Hmm.
Edison, dude, it's heavy. It's heavy
Yeah.
because when you start
Yeah.
getting into the technological aspect, it's like, okay, these guys created it, so what else did they create it for besides the uses that are documented? And that's also, like, not a lot of people didn't think that you could use a TV and a VCR with the television ITC in order to capture a possibly
Hmm.
even a shadow, an image of somebody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I watched an episode of, I can't remember what it was. I didn't even know that that was possible, and I saw an episode of a ghost show,
Hmm.
and that's how I learned about that one. So yeah,
Yeah, and it's
blows me
interesting
away.
how how like the everyday things get used now for ITC. Things that oh, um the Xbox Connect. How that's
Yeah,
being used now.
yeah.
You know, all these different things that you use in everyday life, and they can just be used. Like the TV, the video camera with ITC. All these things can just be used for the purpose of spirit communication, and that's part of the ITC field. There
Yep.
is using those different techniques, these different tools that are around you, and or that you can get, and yeah, it's amazing, the things, the applications that these different everyday things have.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you can just use a regular tape player, or I
Hmm.
mean, now you have your cell phone. I mean, like,
Hmm.
here, I'm talking to you through the power of the internet on my Android.
Hmm.
So, and then
Like,
I
can you
have that.
imagine, like,
I
the
still,
90s? How,
I,
someone told you could do this. It was like, what?
yeah,
Because I remember, like, back then, my biggest thought was, oh man, what if you could like have like a video phone or something like that,
yep,
and it's like, but now it's like it's real. It's all
yeah,
happening.
it's here. And
Yeah.
I'm still using the stand you sent me. Remember, you
Oh,
sent
right
me this
on,
cool
right on.
plastic stand. I still use this thing every day. I'm using the stand every day.
Right on. I'm
So
so
I'm
happy to
like,
hear that. Yeah, it was like $3,
I
dude.
love
So
it.
I sent it in the
I
mail to
love
you,
it.
and
I love it because I tilt my phone and I just sit watch Netflix with it or whatever.
Right
I've
on.
been using it ever since I got it, and I've been enjoying it.
I've
I
got to get a
take
replacement.
it
I gave
for
mine to Darlene, so I got to go get another one, but it's like $3.
that's
So
not bad.
yeah,
Cool.
$3 Walmart. There you
All
go.
right. Okay. It's 5 o'clock. I gotta run and grab my medicine, and then I'll be
Okay.
right back. All
All
right.
right.
I just got my bubble packs. They're in the other room. Oh.
All righty.
Ow, ow,
So
ow.
I'll just continue on with the history of ITC here. I am getting all this information off of World ITC again, and again, that is worlditc.org. But we can go like a few years further on, and Marcello Bacci, rather, of Grosseto, Italy, he began experimenting in the paranormal around 1949, and he soon began recording voices using an old vacuum tube radio. And a spirit team developed around his work, and they spoke to him through the radio sounds. People would visit him in his lab at home, and very often their departed loved ones would talk to them through Bacci's radio. He still uses the radio, but the interesting thing is, this is really odd and really remarkable, is that he can actually take the tubes out of the radio and still get spirit communication, which is like he's some sort of medium or something like that as well. But yeah, he's if you haven't heard of Bocce, then I would definitely suggest just doing a search on YouTube. It's yeah, some of the stuff that he's doing is, as I said, quite remarkable. Um, so we go from there, and then in the early 1950s in Italy, two Catholic priests, Father Ernetti and Father Gimli, they were actually collaborating on some music research. Ernetti was an internationally respected scientist, a physicist, and philosopher, and also a music lover. And Gimli was president of the Papal Academy. October or September rather, 1952, was while Gimli and Ernetti were recording a Georgian chant, a wire on their magnetophone kept breaking. Now exasperated, Father Gimli looked up and asked his father for help. Now, to the two men's amazement, his father's voice, recorded on the magnetophone, answered, "Of course I shall help you. I am always with you." Well, they repeated that experiment, and this time a very clear voice filled with humor said, "But Zucchini, it is clear. Don't you know it is I?" Well, Father Gimli stared at the tape. No one knew that the nickname his father had teased him with when he was just a boy was Zucchini. And he realized then that he was truly speaking with his father. But the thing is that this actually worried him, because part of his faith as a priest, well, he's not supposed to speak with the dead, as we were talking about earlier. You're not supposed to speak with the dead and stuff. So he got it concerned him a lot, because he thought maybe he was committing a sin against God. Well, he talked to the Pope about this, and to his surprise, the Pope patted him on the shoulder and he said, "Dear Father Gimli, you're really not worried about this. The existence of this voice is strictly a scientific fact and has nothing whatsoever to do with spiritism. The recorder is totally objective. It receives and records only sound waves from wherever they come from. And this experiment may perhaps become the cornerstone for building for scientific studies which will strengthen people's faith in the hereafter." And that kind of reassured him a little bit. But for me, that actually touches me, because the reason I got into this, as I've said before, is because I didn't know if there was an afterlife or not. I wanted some kind of reassurance. So that dying had always scared me. So um that was part of the reason I got into ITC. And where he speaks about there, that it will perhaps strengthen people's faith in a hereafter. That definitely happened for me, and that's what I talk about when I talk about faith and the spirit box and everything else. It's a faith in believing in the hereafter, and that's something that's definitely helped me out a lot. And that's one of the stories that really touches me, actually. With us
Sorry it's
again,
taking so
John?
long.
Well,
Sorry
that's
it's taking
okay.
so long. I had to feed the Polly, so yeah,
I
it's
just
five
got my.
o'clock. It's
I've been
five
looking at the
o'clock
camera.
over here.
Oh, is
It's
it? Yeah,
5 o'clock
it's
in Central Time. It's 6 where you're at.
yeah.
And 5 o'clock is when Polly gets her supper, my Polochito, my little girl over
Hmm.
here. And she eats steak every night. She gets filet mignon tonight. Now she's at is I get those Olroys, that soft
Mhm.
food. And it's like topped is what sirloin, and then the other kind is the filet mignon. And sometimes if they got it there at Walmart, freaking the porterhouse and the grilled chicken, but that one sells fast. She gives me a couple cases every payday just so it's there. Because I introduced her to soft food. She used to have the crunchy kind, and then she would go and only eat a little bit of it, and then so I switched her over on a diet, and she started
Mhm.
getting bigger. And I said, well, wait till she starts getting walked all the time, and now she is. So that's another thing
Mhm.
that helps with the depression is going out for a
Yeah.
walk and getting some sun. And so I got to take this one, a couple times a day, and to do her business and that. So because I got holes in my fence, and and she's just a cool buddy to have around. I love her.
Yeah.
Because what do you call it? Where her family's living now, they got a place
She's a
there, and
cutie.
so yeah, I love her. She'll probably try to get her face in here eventually. She always rolls over and she'll come and lay right on me. Her and I bonded very close. But anyways, getting back to it, I heard you're talking about the Skull Society or Mario.
I was
What's
talking
his
about
last name?
Marcelo.
Maglio.
Yeah, Marcelo Bocci.
Marcelo. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcello Bocci. Yeah, sorry, Bocci.
Hmm.
Bocce ball, like bocce ball. It's an Italian game. You ever played
Oh, is
bocce
it?
ball
No,
before?
no, I haven't.
No.
What's
There's
that?
like a bunch of. I can't remember because last time I played it, I was drunk. So this was many years ago because I haven't had a drink in be 11 years or 12 years in April. This is
Way to
11
go,
years.
man. Way
Yeah,
to go.
and so we were drinking, and I remember you got to throw a ball and you got to land it close and like hit another ball or whatever, and whoever's closest to the middle ball gets the most points or whatever.
Hmm.
And I remember I was doing really well at that game, and so we had fun playing it because it was funny. But anyway, that's how I remember him. Is
Mm,
Bocce. I mean,
okay.
if you guys watch Netflix, there Orange is the New Black. There's a character, and she goes Charlize Theron, and then the Piper goes what, and she goes, it means to each their own, but I say a celebrity name, Charlize Theron. And then Piper goes, I see low green, how you did that. And then the African lady goes, no, not for you. Sorry, you can't say that. Like, or whatever. And she's like, oh, okay, sorry. And like, the best thing that lady says the whole season, right, is one day I will rise again with a machete in my hand and I will sit wherever I please. And like she actually thinks that there's a cult and she belongs to it, and it's freaking hilarious. If you haven't seen, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, and I'm shutting up now, but I'm telling you guys it's amazing, so you can have a laugh. And anyway, so let's get
Megs, I
back
wish
to
I could use a
technical.
drunk excuse for a lot of things I've done. That's awesome. Uh, so yeah,
No,
as it.
when I saw the Skull documentary,
Mhm,
I was blown away. Like
mhm.
I remember when oh, who showed us again now? I mean, God. Um anyways, sorry. I'm very sorry to to everybody. Anyways, I can't remember who initially shared that documentary with me, but I was literally blown away. And like I watched it, I think probably 10 times because I'm such a documentary hound that I'll watch it until I watch it. Like my girlfriend like goes, if you watch Wild Wild Country again, I'm gonna punch you in the face. Because I can't stop, and so I watched it 60 times, all the episodes, and I
Wow.
have it completely down pat. And that's what I did with Skull, you know,
Mhm,
and just they're talking to these spirits that are happy to work with them, and
mhm,
I've heard cross the fields cross, where people say, well, those were aliens or Anunnaki alien, or and I'm like, no, 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 no. Let's stick to, they were talking to entities and they claimed they were entities. They didn't say we are aliens. They said we are entities. We are a team. They never
mhm.
said that we are a race of extraterrestrials or a team of no, 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 no. They said they were, individuals.
Yeah.
enlightened individuals. And so, that's what, lends credence to the fact they were human at one point in time. Now, no, Polly, we're not going to play right now. Sorry. She's trying to get me to throw after she does her own PT after she eats. She makes me throw the things.
Ah.
She makes me throw her toy, and then she'll
Hmm.
run and bring it back and everything, and play fetch. So, but yeah, no, I don't.
Right on.
I'm not doing that right now. We're talking. And
Yeah.
so, anyways, what do you call it? No, yeah, she's laying beside me, defeated. She's mad.
Dad won't play with me.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that they said leave film out, like leave some film out, you know what I mean? And, the fact that like the instructions were so precise,
Yep.
like, and everything was followed to a T. And they were like, we are so happy to be working with you. You get where we're coming from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the
Meg says,
skull
"Bless her. Throw,
researchers.
throw, throw that thing for her."
Yeah, and
No.
she's mad right now. She'll be okay in about 10 minutes. It's okay. She's just a little mad.
But
It's
yeah,
all
you were
right.
saying, yeah, about the film, how they were told to leave it out, and then later on, they would have like these different impressions on it.
Yeah, yeah. When
Yeah.
they would develop it, and it's like, how do you do that? Like, it's
Hmm.
just physically impossible for a human being. Like, how did you do that? You know? And it's
Yep.
like those. I think there's so many answers that we are just going to have to accept that we may never know them. We may
Hmm.
never know
Yep.
until we go. Whenever God says, I got to pull your toe tag today, brother. Sorry. That, whenever that happens, then you really know. We're really going to know. But until then,
Yeah.
like but, what Einstein's saying, I mean, there's people who are trying to make that a reality now, to download your consciousness into a digital yourself so that when you die, people can access you. There's people that are archiving that right now. They're archiving humans.
Hmm.
You talk, my name is this, blah blah blah, and you can put
Yeah.
yourself into this archive, and people can look you up forever.
Yeah.
And they're doing this now. In the U.S., on the internet, everywhere. It's part of the new movement.
Hmm.
And so, honestly, what Edison, not Einstein, sorry, Edison, what Edison said is happening before our eyes in 20. It's been happening since like 2015, or but
Hmm.
I know it's
Or
recently, the
earlier.
last few years.
Hmm.
And so what he said is coming to fruition now. And like just the things that we have today that we don't really use anymore. Now we see people using them, and we're like, well, that's not a machine. Well, who cares? I know a lot. There's a lot of people that do that. They dismiss other people's work with the water and the crystals and that, because they don't understand, or maybe they
Hmm.
don't see the same picture that everybody else does, and maybe they just need help finding that. Like, and that's up to them. But I'm never gonna put down tried and true methods, because I believe in the stone tape theory. Crystals are part of nature.
Hmm.
All of that, gems, everything. This is wood here. This absorbs,
Yep.
energy in that. So I'm a big avid believer in the stone tape theory as well. And so like that one thing, and that helps ITC in general.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Grant here, I need to what do you call it? I didn't actually try to every time I try to record, it stops, because I have to grab my phone, stop Netflix, get to the home screen camera, and then record, right? And then it
Hmm.
stops. But we had literally the noise above us was like this. It was like somebody was going up and down the stairs and then banging, and and then so I says, that's crazy that happened. I mean, that's the first time that really has
Hmm.
happened like that loud. It was loud. Like the dog was barking. She was going off.
Hmm.
And I wish that, and then so Hope said to me yesterday, that happens all the time. That's why I tell you, don't leave me when you have to go to the store or something. She'll always say, no, don't leave me. And I'm like,
Oh,
and
it's
she says that happens, and I'm like, you got to start recording this, babe.
it's interesting
But
that you say that because a lot of stuff has been happening here. Darlene's been seeing a lot of different things lately. She's tapping into her mediumship abilities, and
Yeah.
she's seen, you know, different things going on, and she's worried that's because I've been doing spirit box sessions. So what she did is she went and she got me a diffuser and some sage oil. So I want you to run this downstairs because I think that you might be bringing some things in here that I don't really want here. It's not positive spirits she's worried about. It's of course the negative ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she's like, well, I'm getting you this thing, and I want you to run it for me. Um, so yeah, she's like kind of the same way as Hope, a little bit, you know, worried about it, and
Well,
but
and the more that she opens herself up, the more she's gonna receive. You know
mhm.
what I mean? So, you
But
know,
dude,
and by learning,
I've been seeing shit. You know, like how I told you before that I've been seeing like smoke and stuff like out of the corner of my eyes,
yep.
and like, okay, I've got my cigarette going. I gotta put my cigarette out. Well, this has been happening more and more frequently. Just last night, the night before that, I see this mist, this smoke thing, and I'm thinking I've got to put my cigarette out, and I don't have a cigarette going, and this has been happening over and over and over again, and I'll hear what sounds like Darlene calling me, and I'll run
Oh,
upstairs
geez.
and say, "What did you need, hun?" And she's like, "I didn't call you." and
Yeah.
and you know, she'll see a figure in her doorway, and this has happened probably 5, 6, 7 times in the past month now, where
Okay.
she'll see a figure in the doorway, and it's just, you know, a lot of things are starting to pick up here, so that's why she got me the sage thing. But yeah, there's just so much going on here right now. It's nuts.
Um. Uh, is there anything that's happening negative that's impacting her health right now?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Um. I wonder. And I hate to say this. I hate to say it, but and it's not her fault. Does she have a teacher? Does she have somebody she's consulting with, like a living being who is also a medium that has full
Not that I
control of
know
their
of.
ability?
Not
Not
that I
that
know
you
of.
know. Okay. So what might be happening is she may be creating a PK manifestation.
Okay, so
That
you're
that
saying that
that
it's a
that
manifestation that she's created
yeah.
that's appearing. Okay.
Mediums can do that. I know this because I've watched way too many Dead File episodes,
Hmm.
unfortunately. Amy Allen talks about
Yeah,
this
Amy
actually a
Allen's
lot,
awesome.
and it happens with people who are in the home and they have abilities and they're wide open because they don't know how to completely turn them off
Hmm.
and on, you know what I mean? Like there's, and that's what might be happening is that it could be, and it's not her fault. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not, it's just something that like she's stressed out, her health is, you know what I mean? And that contributes to that for a medium, right?
Okay,
Mediums
okay.
need to clean themselves more. They need
Hmm.
to, that kind of stuff because like the more she opens herself up, the more she attracts, right?
Hmm.
And so if a bad one comes in, she's gonna have to deal with that. You know what I mean? And so it might benefit her in the future or even in the present just to research maybe who could I talk to who's willing to you know like an actual medium as well because it needs to be a medium because they're the only ones that can understand. I mean, I'm
Well,
not a
John,
medium,
listen to
so
this. Listen to this from Mags here. She got told in her session that she put up that she what she heard was "I want you human." She says that freaked her out a little bit. She has loads
I
of
want.
activity in her house, and she's become complacent, so she needs to be careful
What did it say?
after that response. It said "I want you human."
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That right away just gave me a really weird feeling. You know what
Gave
I
you a
mean?
chill,
Like
did
that
it?
just evoked. Yeah. And I don't know. I think I'm somewhat empathic. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm a full blown whatever, because obviously I do suffer from a mental disorder. So you know what I mean? Like I'm never gonna say I'm psychic, but
Mm-hmm.
I have these things that happen to me and my whole body will shiver like
Mm-hmm. Oh, that happens to
somebody
me
will go,
too.
somebody walked on your grave, you know like
Mm-hmm.
that when you do that full body shiver.
Yep.
And that'll happen to me a lot in the morning. or and it's like it's almost feels like sometimes I'm taking because last night that happened to me, and last night I was feeling terrible, just terrible. And my girlfriend couldn't get, like, she was passed out, like, you know what I mean? She was just exhausted from work, and she ended up going in today. She was supposed to have the weekend off. And so she
Yeah,
ended
it
up going in
Megs is saying that
today.
it gave her that feeling as well when it happened to her. Of course it would, though.
Oh,
You hear something
absolutely.
like that.
And last night, like, I was getting combative, and I was just like getting angry, and I was feeling kind of younger, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And like I kept getting this feeling like it's not, something is not right, like there's something not sitting well. And then just like earlier, after, because we paid my, like, I said we paid her brother to cut the grass and everything, right? So she was on her phone looking on Facebook, and there's this group. It's Meanwhile in Selkirk. So it's these people that post stuff that's happening in town, right?
Hmm.
Two 15-year-old boys were riding their bikes at the exact same time that I got the shiver.
Oh wow.
A guy from Calgary, 29
Uh
year
huh.
old man, was driving a stolen truck, and he hit both of them. It was a hit and
Oh
run.
my God.
So he got out of the vehicle and ran away. The cops found him later on. They had the helicopters out. They had canines running and looking for this guy because he jumped out of the truck and he just ran. One of
Hmm.
the boys was pronounced dead at the scene. He died probably, we assume, on impact. And there's another
Hmm.
one who, the second kid, kind of just had some bumps and some, he got knocked over. But the first kid was, I hate to say it, is disrespectful, but street pizza, like serious, like, and it's just like, it was like right around that time, and it's two 15-year-old kids, and it happened right in front of a firehouse. So you know what I mean? It happened right in front of the firehouse on Donald Road. Like, there's the highway going, there's Donald, and then there's Goldstone Road right here. Then there's a trailer park on this side of the highway. And guaranteed those boys were riding up. They probably went up to the store, and they were coming down the highway, and that guy just boom. Because he's in a stolen truck, he runs away. And he was trying to jack another car, and they caught him jacking the car. And I was like, oh my God, just like whoa, like. And then I was like, that explains why I wasn't feeling that so hot last night, I think. And I was like, I should have done a session, I should have done something. But then, now that I know, I don't want to, because like it's disrespectful, like, like what Huff does with celebrities. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, this kid died, and I felt weird at the time that happened, so I'm gonna do a session right now and try to capture this kid. No, you know, I was just like, I was so sad when I heard it. And, it was just like, but last night I was just feeling sick. You know what I mean? Like, just sick. And it's just like, and it's just like, and I've actually, like, when I was like, you talked about earlier as well, about like, stepping back, like when I wasn't feeling well, like I would always carry these boxes with me, because these guys have everything that I need, like all my boxes and everything. And I need one more thing for the amp, right? But Louis sent me all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I'd carry this around, and I
Hmm.
stopped and I left them upstairs. And I had all my guys down, and I went, I put all my guys up and everything, and now these come with me all the time. So I know I'm starting to make a comeback, but I don't want to do it today, just out of respect, you know what I mean? Because I don't want people to think that, like, I'm looking to capture this poor kid that passed away. But, I got
Hmm.
my tools there, and this is where we've come to, is the modern radio. But I mean, we're still kind of going backwards. And, we are breaking off, and
How do you
that's
mean?
my issues with this, with the subject matter. But, you
How
know,
do you mean going backwards, John?
just like, um no, I just meant, like, I showed my modern stuff, but we're still
Hmm.
kind of behind that a little bit, right? But in the
Oh, as far as
meantime,
the history goes, right, right, right.
sometimes I have like the run-on sentences and stuff
Yeah,
like that. But
yeah.
no, I just feel it would be disrespectful to try to do a session even tonight, just because of what happened, and that I may have felt, you know. that, and I'm
Mhm.
not saying 100% that I felt that. I just said that I had, I had that damn shiver, and that was around the
Mhm.
time that that young boy was actually dead on the scene. So,
Wow.
you know,
Yeah.
and I think your girlfriend, um, and well, I think she's amazing at what she does, first of all. But I also think that every practitioner might need somebody that just to talk to that's even like that. And so
Mhm.
maybe any of our viewers that might know if any even web forums or something somewhere where she could get some assistance just in
That would
case
be
she
awesome
does
if
create,
anybody knows of
like
anything. That'd be real awesome.
because I've seen those episodes of the Dead Files, and I mean, there's actual stuff going on in the homes too. But she like when those PK manifestations start, I mean, they can get real bad.
Mhm.
And it's just like hopefully, if that's what's happening, she can get control of it real easy by talking with people and kind of
Mhm.
immersing herself in it. And
Yeah.
it seems like that's what she's doing. She's immersing herself in her ability. She's learning because she's had this her whole life, right? So when you look at it, it's like now she's at an age where it's like, okay, I can think logically. I'm older. I've learned. I'm
Mhm.
through the party years of my life. I'm through all that kind of stuff right now, just like I am. We're all out
Mhm.
of that, And
Yeah.
so, it's we're all calmer now, and you can learn from your experiences, and you can decide where you want to go. And you
Yeah.
know what? She's made the right decision, and it's just like, just
Mhm.
I got 100% supporter, but just do it safe. You know, I mean,
Exactly.
when
Right on.
Hope looks at me and goes, "I do you think I'm fat?" I go, "No, I don't." Because
I
you're
hate that
lying. I
question.
said, "No, I would actually tell you." I say, if you wanted the honest to God truth, I would tell you. And no, you're
Mhm.
not fat. There's just too many girls that are walking around that look like sticks, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, I might do this diet. And I says, the only way that I'm gonna let you do a diet, and I'm not trying to sound controlling, but it's just I don't want you to do a fad diet that could hurt you, right? I want you to do something that's healthy, not just drinking cayenne juice and or cayenne pepper and lemon juice for a week straight and starving yourself, right? No, like you need proper things. Well, it's just the same way with mediumship. So that's the way I look at that, anyways. And just so she can be protected and healthy. And but I mean, I remember watching the one video where she's in touch with her spirit guides now, and like I think that's really
Mhm.
awesome. And like her
Yeah, it
grandfather, I
is.
do believe, is one of her spirit guides. So I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
think
like
she
double
believes that. Yeah.
awesome. Because if I was ever a psychic medium, I would love to see my family members that are deceased
Oh,
again.
yeah. Yeah,
And
that'd be.
so that's really cool.
Mhm. Yeah, and I've had my family members coming through on my sessions too, which is very cool. Um, I know when I'm called Lewis that it's got to be someone who's close to me because um, right now the only people that actually do call me that or are people who are family members. People who've known me as Lou or whatever. From when I was a
Yeah,
kid and stuff, or Louie, which I absolutely hate. But
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, that is one of the cool things about spirit communication is that if you've got someone who's passed, that you can, that line of communication doesn't have to be broken. That you can, still
hmm
speak with them and stuff. It's not the same as obviously having them right there, but to be able to still reach out and have that is
yeah.
something that I think is very special. And I think that's something we're actually blessed with to, be able to do and to, um, you know, have that faith that the afterlife is there and that we can communicate with their loved ones even after they've passed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think I've ever had confirmation of a loved one in any of my
Mhm.
previous sessions yet, but I think I'm gonna try for that.
Well, let me
Like I
tell you
think
something.
that's
It happened to me when I wasn't expecting it. So I would say just continue doing your sessions like always, and possibly eventually you'll actually, get something very
yeah,
concrete. I mean, when I did it, I just out of the blue, you know, and
that's
my
cool.
grandfather's name, and then the dream, and then the train, and like, because I had seen him in a dream, and he was on a train. He was confirming that that was him, and
Yeah.
just one of the Yeah, it was over a year ago now, but still impacts me on such a deep level.
Yeah, yeah. There's a guy, Ryan Sickler. He did Joey Diaz's per Church of What's Happening Now, and he's been on Rogan, and he talked about this dream that he had because he said normally he doesn't have like those dreams where like something happens or whatever. And he said he was with his dad. He was flying a helicopter, and he said he was like going through overpasses, underpasses, everything. The helicopter's going crazy. He's trying to fly it. Like the only time this would happen is if like this is an emergency situation, whatever, right?
Hmm.
So his dad tells him like get a hold of it because he didn't realize his old man's behind him, right?
Hmm.
So he's like he gets the stick or he's working it and he gets level, and then all of a sudden another helicopter comes, and then he said the side door opened, and the side door opened on that one, and his dad was laying on the floor at that point, and he didn't know if he was dead or anything, and he looked up or whatever, and he looked into the side door, and he said like then he woke up, and he said so whatever was on the other side of that, you know, whatever was coming, that was as close as he ever got to like a spirit communication or anything like that would be probably through a dream.
Mm.
And so I think like even going back, if you look at like the most earliest form of spirit communication was like the tale, the spoken word,
Hmm.
like this, like a guy went away. You even look at the Aboriginals, in our country and in the Native Americans in America. They
Hmm.
did vision quests. When you were old enough, they sent
Hmm.
you packing
Yeah,
and you went
exactly.
off into the
Yeah.
woods and you spent like up to 2 weeks out there and you weakened yourself, to the point where you were a slave to the elements and the creator would send an animal or whatever to,
Hmm.
and so, I mean, you go back that and it's just like, that's amazing because
Hmm.
like in modern day for priests to get rid of like demons and that they have to fast for so many days for their the rites of exorcism, and so they actually have to fast and all that kind of stuff, and that's basically the same thing that every other tribe of people that ever accessed any type of magic that has it in their history, that's the way it went. You know, they're weakened. Like they only had enough food for so long. Like this is
Hmm.
what happened,
Yep.
and then they saw the vision. So what was it? Is it that you need to be so starved and deprived of sleep that we're gonna hallucinate and see something,
Mm.
or are we actually gonna, so because that's all we had for so long, you know what I mean? And now you can actually go online, buy what, anything, any type of radio, but you can't hack any radio, but you know what I mean? Or you just buy a spirit box and then you've
Hmm.
got it. You know what I mean? But and so it's just like through time, just the evolution of ITC was like slow, 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 incredibly fast, and now we're here. You know what I mean? Like it
Yep.
was like, like just
Hmm.
as soon as the 1900s hit, it was like boom, and then you
Yeah.
just like 100 years later, it's like it's even crazier. So
Hmm.
and it just happened like that,
Yep.
just like that, So that's just like that. That's a wow to me. Is right there
Hmm.
with ITC is that you start off with that, and then now we're today, and this is what we have, you know,
Yep.
and just like how and then you can talk with everybody, and I mean, if people want to
Hmm.
believe in Steve Huff, that's fine, but
Whatever. I don't even want to talk about him anymore, to be honest. I mean,
no,
he can be a
no,
dead horse for only so long.
exactly, yeah,
The people who want to know the
exactly.
truth about Steve Huff, they can go and they can. There's a lot of videos that show exactly what he's doing, how he's doing it, and I don't
Debunking
know.
Huff Paranormal.
All we're doing is giving him
Piracy. He's
attention.
got a
Let's not
bunch
do
of
that.
them.
Let's focus on the real ITC, the real spirit work, and go forward in positivity. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's like, what I was talking about earlier with positivity is like, and I do that with people now. I mean, I used to just take it for granted and walk away, but when I'm shopping, and somebody rings all my stuff through and, they're having a crappy day at Walmart or something, I always tell that person, "Hey, have a nice day." And I make
mhm,
eye contact with them. And I always say, "You have a nice day." If I go
Yeah.
into a restaurant or something, I'm always polite to that person, like at a McDonald's or whatever,
Hmm.
because I know they've eaten a lot of shit that day. Probably, you know, and they don't need me to give them any more because I've worked
Yep.
customer service, so I know how it feels, you know. And I go in there and it's just
Yep.
like, hey man, can I, this and this? Thank you so much. You have a great day, man. Stay cool, whatever. And I,
And it's amazing
and I
just
look
how
them in the
far
face.
kindness can go into changing someone's mood. Just a
Yeah,
simple, "Hey, how are you
exactly.
doing? You doing all right?"
Yeah.
And something like that. This feeling that somebody actually gives a
Well, the
is,
thing is like the standard answer is like, how are you? I'm fine.
"I'm fine. Yep,
But
I'm
if
good.
most
How are
people,
you?"
if yeah, but if you're not fine, and you tell somebody, I'm not actually feeling that well today, man. Like I've been depressed for a week and everything, and then
Hmm.
they're like, oh, then it gets awkward because most people just expect, I'm doing good. How are you? Peace. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
that's what
my dog
what
died,
and
and
so like that's one of the weird things about our
yeah.
society is that a lot of people are, it's almost like they don't, it's that thing, nobody cares, right? Nobody gives a shit.
I heard someone say once, do you know why people ask you how you're doing? Because they want to know that somebody's having a shittier time than they are.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's just, it makes you feel a little bit better if you're in the negative mindset that somebody's having a crappier day than you. Because
Hmm.
I've been there. I've been the negative guy, and I've watched, like, something in a video of some guy getting hurt really bad, and it's like, oh man, well, you know what, fuck him, he deserved it. Like, you can start laughing at it or whatever. And it's just, it's like, no, I've tried to get rid of that mindset now,
Hmm.
is that, like, somebody's having a shittier day than me. It's like, I hope not. I really hope not. you know it's just, I don't know. I just want everybody to be in a good mood because, like, with me dealing with the whole new, everything, a lot of new stuff.
Hmm.
It's just like I know how it feels for everybody. And it's just like, dude, I know
Hmm.
when it feels crappy. I know how it feels when it's good. I know all those feelings now. And at least now I have an explanation for them, whereas in the
Hmm.
past I didn't. And that was the scary part about it, was that I just didn't know, and I thought it was part of this, what I was diagnosed with originally,
Hmm.
was the major depression. But
Yeah.
having the manic, that explains why I would, like, back in the day, I would post videos, session, like every day I was
Yeah.
doing, like, and that explains it, like,
Hmm.
and then you'll see, like, no activity, and then boom, 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 boom again, and then, like, no activity, and then boom, 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 boom. And,
Yeah.
like, I've always been that way. So, like,
Hmm.
so explains it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't know if
So.
it's Mr. Grant has, it can, affect anybody mentally or not, but
Mhm.
I have no idea. I
Yeah.
don't. But he,
Anyway, something just hit my head here, John, and that's the fact that as much as it's a great goal to try and talk about the entire history of ITC, I don't think we're going to be able to do that in one video. So I think maybe what we should
no,
do is we should
we're gonna,
talk about different elements of it as we go along, and then just maybe
yeah,
bring some examples into it. So we'll talk about water
absolutely,
ITC, and then we'll talk about the ghost boxes. We'll talk about video ITC, show some examples of those. And if people
absolutely,
want to see the entire history of ITC, I would strongly suggest going into, again, worlditc.org and checking that out,
yeah.
just as there's like so much information, and it's just impossible for us to touch on every little thing that's gone on in
In one
history with
podcast,
ITC.
exactly.
Exactly.
We're gonna
Yeah.
have to do episodes, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to take it part by part, and we'll talk about how when this certain technique came about, and then we'll show you some examples, maybe even live examples for stuff like video ITC. Obviously, it's not going to be able to, we're not going to be able to do live examples, but we can
Yeah,
certainly show some pictures while we're doing our broadcasts and stuff. I think that might
absolutely.
be the best way to go about it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. But I think we're having a great discussion here today about different things as well, which is also good.
Me
Um,
too.
and um, yeah, and we've got some great activity in the chat here. We've got a couple people there talking away,
Right on.
and you love the history of all things paranormal, Megs. That's awesome because that's what we're going to be doing in our next few series of videos is talking about the different things that have happened and the different um, techniques that have been used. So, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited to do this, and I want to thank a guy by the name of Kevin Himes who actually gave me this idea to do this series. And yeah, he was the one. Well, why don't you do a history of ITC? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I think it's going to work out really good. So thanks very much, Kevin, for
Right
that.
on. Thanks, Kevin.
And if you haven't checked him out, you can check Kevin out at Kevin's Spiritual Journey. He's got a lot of great videos. He does water ITC, he does video ITC, uses both apps and ghost boxes, and he's got a neat little box that was given to him. I can't remember the name of the channel that it came from, but you'll see that on his channel there. But
Awesome.
yeah. So yeah, check out Kevin's spiritual journey there, and also worlditc.org for that history and stuff. And there's so much information. It's not just like the history of ITC that's there. It's like everything that you would want to know about ITC is on worlditc.org. You also
That's
want to check
basically your one-stop shop, basically.
pretty much, yeah. Another site you want to check out is Mark Macy. I think it's markmacy.com. He was part of the Skull experiment, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So,
And
if
Skull Book
correct me
and
if I'm
all
wrong
that.
with that. I think he was though. But yeah, so those are a couple outlets that you might want to check out just to find that. What is ITC? Stephen, ITC is in uh, in
Instrumental
instrumental
transcommunication.
transcommunication. Yeah, I always have a hard time starting to say that word there. Yes, thanks, Mary Lou. She posted that there. So what that is that's the use of different devices such as EVP recorders, video cameras,
Ghost
um,
boxes.
yeah. So any kind of technological device that you're using to do spirit communication with is falls under the umbrella of ITC or
Yeah.
instrumental transcommunication.
And it's such like you said, it's just such a broad subject that you can't bring an entire history in just one show. You just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can touch on a little bit of everything and then just kind of focus on, okay, this is these years and then these years and then these years,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And we could break them down like, chunk by chunk.
Yeah,
And
well, it started in 1901, so that's like what
exactly.
117 years of history there.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not
So,
gonna go too far back. We're not gonna like do the Illuminati crap and all that stuff or nothing because that's not what we're after here. We're just after
yeah,
the instruments, meaning
exactly, because that's what
electronics and
ITC is using
yeah.
devices, and I mean, yeah, there was
We
stuff
brought
like bone throwing stuff, but that doesn't fall under that as far as I'm
no,
concerned.
no. It's just like in the early years that was what was available in that some
Yeah,
religions, and it's just
yeah,
like
and
now that
that would be spirit communication on a whole, which we would definitely not
yeah,
ever be able to do a
no.
history on because that goes back thousands of years.
You would have to just create a whole new podcast for that. You know what you would
Hmm.
literally would. You would have to just, or just if honestly you guys want to do that, go listen to CW Chanter. That guy's like bloody well amazing. He sits around and he's the one that called it with the whole Gaia TV thing with David Wilcock leaving, and saying it's a Luciferian organization and all that kind of stuff. He called that a very long time ago.
Hmm.
A couple of guys actually went to a conference and they asked, "What do you think of CW?" Before the whole Gaia fiasco happened back in June, and these guys on tape asked David Wilcox at this event, "What do you think of CW Chan?" He's a hater. So yeah, if you guys like David Wilcox, then you might not want to watch CW Chandler, but he's like that kind of a guy where he talks in it when you but you don't have to listen to everything. Just there's this something it's called "It Takes a Village to Build a Dumpster Fire," and he
Hmm.
brings people on and they'll talk about like Crowleyite magic. They'll talk about a lot of that kind of stuff. And so like that's kind of useful too if you guys want to know about early stuff. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
like guys like that, they have these conversations where they, kind of have the long 3-hour type podcast with like many people on the panel where they
Hmm.
break, they talk about a lot of that kind of stuff. So if
Yeah.
people want that, there's a few different channels out there that'll really encompass that for
Hmm.
you too. So
Yeah. And I'll leave the links that I've already mentioned in the description as well there for anybody who wants to do a little more research on their own as well.
it's always good to do homework.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I think, John, we may have come to the end here. We've been going on for about 2 hours now,
Yes, sir.
or an hour and a
Yes, sir.
half. So I want to thank everybody who joined us in the chat there, and also thank everybody who checks us out later on. We'll be back with another episode soon. We'll announce it before it comes out. And thanks again, guys, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining all, guys. Love you all. Much love. And I'm gonna click off now.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All right, peace, bro.